Hello, fabulous superstar Capricorn. Welcome to your horoscope for the month of September 2024. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. It is a remarkable astrological month, without a doubt. Big moves happening in the sky now. Boy, is it a very special time, and it truly is so special now. Well, right out of the gate on the first of the month, we have huge energies at play, and they are going to be so important for you. First, Uranus goes retrograde. Whenever Uranus changes directions, it is a light bulb moment. It is surprise developments that ultimately lead to deeper reflection. Now, for you, Uranus is going retrograde in a part of the sky that has to do with what you want in your heart of hearts in every area of life and living a life that you love. Creative fulfillment is covered here along with the children in your life. Now, if anybody is going to be surprised by children, it might be you, okay? Whether that's your fertility, whether that is the behavior of a child in your life or the role that they play. Yeah, some of that could happen now. I mean, there comes a time when kids end up being rebellious, right? Good God, I was quite the rebellious child. Teenager, I will say. My poor parents, I love them. But yeah, you might have some of that. But this part of the sky doesn't necessarily have to do with children. It might not play out that way at all. It might have to do with an understanding of what creative fulfillment is for you. And more specifically, there could be quick developments related to a creative project in your life now. And that development could either leap you forward, like it could be big opportunity, or there could be a sense of needing to stop what you're doing for some reason and go back over old ground. Regardless, there's something very honest about Uranus changing directions, and it invites you to go within, to look at the truth of what you really feel, what's really going on. And if this is an authentic expression, an authentic creative expression that you really want to put forward. Now, I'll talk more about this energy when we get to the love portion of this video, because this is going to be important in the context of love as well. On the same day, Pluto retrogrades back into your sign. This is huge. Big news for you. I remember way back in the day, 2008 is when Pluto first started stepping into your sign. And that's how long you've had this transit. You had Pluto leave your sign in 2023 for 2 months over the spring. And then again in January of this month. And now Pluto is back in your sign for 7 weeks to wrap up loose ends before Pluto moves on and won't return to your sign in this lifetime. It'll be like over 2 centuries before Pluto comes back around. And so enjoy this moment and enjoy your life at this moment as well. These are powerful energies at play. And as I look at this, it speaks to a depth of appreciation, a depth of understanding into yourself. Whatever's happening now might in some way connect you to what was happening for you towards the end of December and very beginning of January. That's the last time Pluto was exactly where Pluto is returning to. And developments that occurred then might be seen differently in some way now. But for all that, we get energies here that speak to you knowing yourself differently, what matters to you most, what matters to you first, and what you're going to do about it. It is a reawakening of a deep passion, a deep desire, the transformative forces that you've been working with that have changed your life profoundly so over these last years. That reawakening might feel comfortable because you got used to the energy. But it's going to invite you to consider now how far you've come and where it is that you're going to direct this very powerful, brief period of time to your advantage. What authentic power is to you, how you're going to wield it and move forward. On the second of the month, we have a new moon. And this new moon is taking place in a worldly part of your sky. You can see here the earth energies are lit up under the sky now. And it is that new moon that speaks to long distance travel, immigration, citizenship, higher learning, legal matters, as well as the beliefs that help you to make sense of the world, that guide your life, that represent what's true for you. This new moon is opposite Saturn, which brings with it a sense of a need for patience, some sense of limitation, some sense of restriction. But I also see this as delayed gratification. In fact, I think whenever Saturn's involved, we're looking at delayed gratification in some way. Now, there could be a sense that someone else is the source of stress in your life. I'm sorry to say, but it does happen. Or that a reality check moment comes about as a result of an interaction with another, because oppositions can play themselves out that way. And so if you're doing any traveling at the beginning of the month, just be okay with needing to be patient with delays, or a sense of needing to be a stickler with certain rules might show up. And be patient with yourself as you navigate any travel that you might do now. If you are involved in an immigration or citizenship matter, or this could be a time when you are undertaking that matter, as well as legal matters as well. In fact, with legal matters, there may definitely be a need to consider the limits of what is possible and what isn't. That doesn't necessarily mean that you need to accept or believe the very first advice or feedback that you're given. However, this could be a consequential moment, a turning point, if you will, where you're evaluating whether or not the sacrifice of pursuing a certain path is worth it or not, worth it in terms of time and energy and maybe even money that you might put in. This part of the sky can also speak to higher education. You might be weighing your options in some way on that front. More personally, it could be a time when you feel like you're being asked to justify or be more clear about what you believe. And that might not necessarily feel very comfortable to you. But for all this, just know that ultimately Saturn invites you to get honest. And it invites you to consider the higher gratification that could be there if you delayed immediate gratification now. And so to me, that means if you want to be somewhere else, you want to live abroad, for example, or go on a trip, this is about making a plan. That's very often what's involved with Saturn. Making a plan and seeing it through. And that can get you just about anything you want in its own time. And remember, you don't need to justify anything to anybody. What matters is that whatever you choose, you are at peace with your choices. And that includes in what it is that feels right for you to make sense of the world around you. On the 17th of the month, we are going to have a lunar eclipse. Here it is, the start of eclipse season. And this is a big, powerful lunar eclipse. Lunar eclipses tend to bring with them endings, but this is an ending that feels fated, and that feels fortunate as well. The eclipse is part of a larger configuration, a major configuration that astrologers call a kite. And it is one of blessings and opportunity and a need for some balance as well. And I think that's really going to be a big deal, that need for balance here. Not only because of the kite, but the fact that Jupiter is square this eclipse. Everything feels larger. Everything feels bigger. It is going to be on one side of the eclipse that we have Uranus. On the other side of the eclipse, we have Pluto. And it is Pluto and Uranus that is setting up a grand trine with the sun. This is energy of massive blessings. Uranus and Pluto, speaking in harmony with the eclipse, represents opportunity. Now, on either side of the moon, we have Saturn and we have Neptune. And these energies can feel rather consequential, rather meaningful as well. So for all this, we have energies that ultimately invite forward progress, right? Consequential changes that feel very hopeful, but they also come with a sense of closure, a sense of change, a sense of transformation. That is the very nature of eclipses. Now, eclipses are wildcard energies. They're not necessarily energies you need to tap into consciously, but rather you need to sit back and let them happen and see what shows up for you. And for you, it really is going to feel like you are in the right place at the right time, just talking to the right person, and it makes all the difference now. Personally, but in other ways as well, it just might make all the difference. And because all the earth signs are lit up and you are an earth sign, whatever takes place is that much more meaningful for you. There could be developments and surprises in the lives of siblings, cousins, and neighbors. Particularly neighbors could leave at this time, right? So that might feel like a change that comes out of nowhere. It could also be that it is, as you're out and about, sort of running your errands, having random conversations with people, that a new understanding of self that ends up being hugely consequential, that helps you to really wrap up that Pluto energy that I spoke about earlier. All of that could come home right under the light of this lunar eclipse. It is powerful. And I think this is the fourth time I'm saying the word consequential. So be open to the possibility. Spiritual lessons will become that much more evident now. Now, where it comes to matters of love, I'm going back to the energies I spoke of right out of the gate as we began this video. Uranus going retrograde in a part of the sky that, in addition to what I mentioned, has to do with romance, flirtation, and what love is for you. It is Pluto, of course, re-entering your sign, and the intensity of it that might very well attract some pretty intense experiences for you at this time. And so, love. It may feel like it comes out of nowhere. It might feel developments happen that you didn't expect. But one thing is for sure, whatever happens now, it is honest. It is obvious. It is clear. And it lends itself to a deeper reflection of heart. So for those of you open to meeting someone new, big energies at play here in the context of new connections. This is very all or nothing. There's a spontaneity with this energy, but not necessarily longevity. I do want to be straightforward with you. In fact, it can feel like someone sort of comes and then goes really quickly as well. They might still make an impact, and it could still be meaningful to you. With Pluto re-entering your sign, I think it's going to invite you to get really honest about what you're really wanting in all of your life, including love. And the superficial just isn't going to cut it in any area of life, including love for you now. And as part of that, yeah, these experiences, people you attract now, it might feel fun and flirty for the first few minutes before things get really intense. But again, just because it's intense doesn't mean it's necessarily meant to last a long time. For those of you who are just starting to date someone, there is a big moment of truth coming up here that is pretty undeniable. What is happening with you and this person, how it feels to be with them. Is there further potential here? Is this genuinely fun for you or not? Is there a genuine connection here? Are the fundamentals being met or not? All of that becomes very clear in an instant for a lot of people out there. So stay open to possibility now. I feel like things are going to move really quickly in a way that ultimately invites you, inspires you to look at what you are really wanting in your heart of hearts where it comes to love and whether or not this person can meet you there. And for those of you in an established bond, well, again, we go with being honest with yourself about whether or not you really feel love is here. If your question is, well, obviously there is, and it's undeniable to you. There's such a depth of connection, of commitment for the two of you now. The physical expression of love can feel especially strong. But if it is that that isn't the case, this can be a moment where that honesty feels jarring, or if not shocking. But the fact that you want something substantial is going to be on the surface. And if that isn't here, well, you're going to honestly start to evaluate what options are available to you. This isn't necessarily comfortable or easy energy, but it is consequential. It's energy that says, be honest with you and be true to you as well. What I love about this month for you, there's so much here. It's a powerful and meaningful astrological moment. I'm going to say, I love Pluto re-entering your sign. It is 7 weeks. It is going to feel intense and it's going to feel big. I want to remind you that Pluto in your sign is at the beginning of November going to be in an opposition to Mars. This is huge, big. I mean, talk about, going out in a way that is undeniable, unequivocal. This really is it. And so you are on the precipice of this sense of things transforming, of changing, of moving towards this big turning point moment within yourself and in your life. Now, I will be here to talk about it every step of the way. Mars enters your opposite sign now. That is a really big deal as well. It doesn't start Mars retrograde season, but chances are you're going to feel like you want to pour that much more energy towards another person. And if you are not with another person, this is going to be a time when you become especially gutsy and brave in your pursuit of love and desire to partner up. However, remember, at least for the next 7 weeks, it is you that needs to strive to be honest with you about how much of whatever's happening with you now is about you and not necessarily about anybody else. Powerful lessons in love are going to kick into high gear once we get into next month and Mars officially enters shadow. But in many ways, these big lessons, well, they start now. And honoring your heart and what it truly desires is your moment of revelation at which you start the month. Well, thank you so much for watching. You can get a video like this each and every week for each and every sign for as low as just $3 a month with choose your membership rate at NadiyaShahSuperstars.com. Higher tiers get you things like all access passes to Synchronicity University events, consultations with me, and so much more. All of this in the Superstar space at NadiyaShahSuperstars.com. Links are in the description below. Thank you again for watching. It'll be a great month. Enjoy.